Hey, this is Ramon, Channels Alpha 4, and this is Catholic Reads of the Quran. Unfortunately, my schedule has been a little messed up, and I lost a good chunk of my notes because I have been doing some remodeling and some reconstruction on my house. So, therefore, some of my notes are missing. They've been misplaced. So, I'm going to do something I don't like to do, and I'm just going to read the next chunk, which is Surrah 4, ayat 186 through 129. I'm just going to read from the Quran and give you my commentary as I read. But to avoid copyright, I am going to be doing chunks from different translations. So from 86 to 100 is going to be the Maulana Muhammad. I finally said that right. From 101 to 116 will be the penguin, the Dawood. And then from 117 to 129 will be the Harper 1 Nasar. Okay? So let's begin. And like I said, I'll be giving you my commentary as I go. I won't be doing this every time, so don't get used to this. But like I said, I lost my notes for this chunk, and I'm so far ahead that I can't just remember what it is I read 2 months ago. So I'm just going to have to read through it. And when you are greeted with a greeting, greet with one better than it, or return it. Surely Allah ever takes account of all things. Allah, there is no God but He. He will certainly gather you together on the resurrection day. There is no doubt in it. And who is more true in word than Allah? Why should you, then, be two parties in relation to the hypocrites, while Allah has made them return to disbelief for what they have earned? Do you desire to guide him whom Allah leaves in error? And whoever Allah leaves in error, thou canst not find a way for him. I don't like that. I don't like the way that's worded, specifically because in Christianity and Judaism, it is the wayward sheep, the prodigal son, that is the prized sheep. So you would actually go look for the one who has lost his way, and that's the one, or her way, and that's the one who you would do the most work for. In fact, you would risk the whole population of the sheep that you care for, just to save that one lost sheep, and you would welcome in the prodigal son, or the prodigal child. On 89, they long that you should disbelieve as they have disbelieved, so that you might be on the same level. So take not from among them friends until they flee their homes in Allah's way. Then, if they turn back to hostility, seize them and kill them wherever you find them, and take no friend nor helper from among them. Again, I don't like that. That is very controversial. You cannot read this passage all by itself, this one single verse, to a Christian, to a pagan, to a Hindu, to a Jewish person, and think that this line is going to go over well with them. It won't. This will offend many people. Okay, from 90. Except those who join a people between whom and you there is an alliance, or who come to you, their hearts shrinking from fighting you, or fighting their own people. And if Allah had pleased, He would have given them power over you, so that they would have fought you. So if they withdraw from you, and fight you not, and offer you peace, then Allah allows you no way against them. Clearly that's more in keeping with modern understanding of faith and peace, once we get past those the previous three passages, or previous three ara. 91. You will find others who desire to be secure from you, and secure from their own people. Whenever they are made to return to hostility, they are plunged into it. So if they withdraw not from you, nor offer you peace and restrain their hands, then seize them and kill them wherever you find them, and against these we have given you a clear authority. Again, though this is sanctioned in the Quran, this is very unchristian. 92. And a believer would not kill a believer except by mistake. And he who kills a believer by mistake should free a believing slave, and blood money should be paid to his people unless they remit it as alms. But if he be from a tribe hostile to you, and he is a believer, the freeing of a believing slave suffices. And if he be from a tribe between whom and you there is a covenant, the blood money should be paid to his people, along with the freeing of a believing slave. But he who has not the means should fast for 2 months successively, a penance from Allah, and Allah is ever-knowing, wise. Again, these are very uncomfortable passages from a modern perspective. And whomever kills a believer, intending his punishment is hell, abiding therein, and Allah is wroth with him, and he has cursed him, and prepared for him a grievous chastisement. O you who believe, when you go forth to fight in Allah's way, make investigation, and say not to anyone who offers you salutation, thou art not a believer, seeking the good of this world's life, but with Allah there are abundant gains. You too were such before, then Allah conferred a benefit on you. So make investigation, surely Allah is ever aware of what you do. The holders back from among the believers, not disabled by injury, and those who strive hard in Allah's way with their property and their persons are not equal. Allah has made the strivers with their property and their persons to excel the holders back a high degree, and to each Allah has promised good, and Allah has granted to the strivers above the holders back a mighty reward, high degrees from Him, and protection and mercy, and Allah is ever forgiving, merciful. The forgiving and merciful doesn't really coincide with what was said in the previous lines. And I realize there's some poetic license here, but it doesn't exactly flow. It shows the difference in understanding of what the word mercy means from a Western society to an Islamic society. Like, there's just a different understanding of these words. 97. As for those whom the angels cause to die, while they are unjust to themselves, the angels will say, what were you doing? They will say, we were weak in the earth. They will say, was not Allah's earth spacious, so that you could have migrated therein? So these, it is whose refuge is hell, and it is an evil resort. Except the weak from among the men, and the women, and the children, who have not the means, nor can they find a way to escape. So these, it may be that Allah will pardon them, and Allah is ever pardoning, forgiving. And whoever flees in Allah's way, he will find in the earth many a place of escape and abundant resources. And whoever goes forth from his home, fleeing to Allah and His Messenger, then death overtakes him. His reward is indeed with Allah, and Allah is ever forgiving, merciful. All right, and that's 2101. Let's go on to the next translation. Okay, I'm going to have to turn on a backlight, guys, because it's a little dark in here. It's nighttime. I'm recording this well into the night, so give me a second. 101. And we're going to go to 116 in the Darwood. It is no offense for you to shorten your prayers when traveling the road, if you fear that the unbelievers may attack you. The unbelievers are your inveterate foe. When you, prophet, are with the faithful, conducting their prayers, let one party of them rise up to pray with you, armed with their weapons. After making their prostrations, let them withdraw to the rear, and then let another party, who have not prayed, come forward and pray with you. And let these not be on their guard, armed with their weapons. It would much please the unbelievers if you neglected your arms and your baggage, so that they could swoop upon you with one assault. But it is no offense for you to lay aside your arms when overtaken by heavy rain or stricken with an illness, although you must be always on your guard. God has prepared a shameful punishment for the unbelievers. When your prayers are ended, remember God standing, sitting, and laying down. Attend regularly to your prayers, so long as you are safe. For prayer is a duty incumbent on the faithful, to be conducted at appointed hours. Seek out the enemy relentlessly. If you have suffered, they too have suffered. But you at least hope to receive from God what they cannot hope for. Surely God is all-knowing and wise. We have revealed to you the book of truth, so that you may arbitrate among men by that which God has shown you. You shall not plead for traitors. That last line from Ara 102, it's really hard for people not to see the militaristic aspect of these instructions, which is very odd for religious language, especially to a Western ear. While it is true that other religions, such as ancient Greek religions and such as Hinduism, do have warfare in their books, and while what most Christians call the Apocrypha, but the Catholics call the Deuterocanonical books, do have warfare, most of the time warfare is either slightly whitewashed or simply left out of modern religious ideas. There is some conversation of that, but usually it's metaphorical. And when it's not metaphorical, it's usually in the distant past with some kind of overarching religious lesson that has to do with the warfare. Unlike here, where this is simply an instruction on strategy and tactics, which is a different bent. Okay, continuing on to 106. Implore God's forgiveness. God is ever forgiving and merciful. Nor shall you plead for those who betray their own souls. God does not love the treacherous or the sinful. This is very different from Christianity and Catholicism, where God loves the sinful, where he cares about the sinful and protects the sinful, and goes out of his way to care for those who are sinful and for those who are fallen. So this is a very different understanding than Christianity on the nature of God. They seek to hide themselves from men, but they cannot hide themselves from God. He is with them when they utter in secret what does not please him. God has knowledge of all their actions. Yes, you may plead for them in this life, but who will plead for them with God on the day of resurrection? Who will be their defense? Will be their defender? In Christianity, that would be Jesus. In other religions, I think Buddha does it for the Buddhist, and I think Krishna does it for the Hindus. And in ancient Egyptian religions, Osiris, maybe Horus. Anyway, continuing on. He that does evil or wrongs his own soul and then seeks God's pardon will find God forgiving and merciful. He that commits sin commits it against his own soul. God is all-knowing and wise. That is slightly different than the Western understanding, where sin is a communal crime, not an individualistic crime, which is Interesting, because Christianity relies on individualism, yet the consequences of sin is not limited to the individual who commits the sin. Much like in real life, how someone can do something wrong and harm an innocent person. He that commits an offense or a crime and charges an innocent man with it shall bear the guilt of calamity, shall bear the guilt of calumny and gross injustice. But for God's grace and mercy you would have been led astray by some among them. They lead astray none but themselves, nor can they do you any harm. God has revealed to you the book and his wisdom, and taught you what you did not know before. God's goodness to you has been great indeed. Therefore is no virtue in much of their counsel, only in his who enjoys charity, kindness, and peace among men. He that does this to please God, on him we shall bestow a rich recompense. He that disobeys the apostle after guidance has been revealed to him, and follows a path other than that of the faithful, shall be given what he has chosen. He will burn him in the fire of hell, an evil end. God will not forgive idolatry. He will forgive whom he will all other sins. He that serves other gods besides God has strayed far indeed. Which, while that's in line with the Old Testament, in the New Testament, there's only one unforgivable sin, and that isn't the unforgivable sin. Now from 117 to 129, and we're going to be in the harp of 1 now. They call upon only females in his stead. They call upon none but a defiant Satan, whom God has cursed, who said, Assuredly, I shall take of thee servants, an appointed share, and surely I shall lead them astray, and arouse desires in them. I shall command them, and they will slit their ears of cattle. I shall command them, and they will alter God's creation. Whosoever takes Satan as a protector apart from God has surely suffered a manifest loss. He makes them promises and stirs in them desires, but Satan promises naught but delusion. Such will have their refuge in hell, and will find no refuge therefrom. But for those who believe and perform righteous deeds, we shall cause them to enter gardens with rivers running below, abiding therein forever. God's promise is true, and who is truer in speech than God? It will not be in accordance with your desires, nor the desires of the people of the book. Whosoever does evil shall be requited for it, and he will find no protector or helper for himself apart from God. And whosoever performs righteous deeds, whether male or female, and is a believer, such shall enter the garden, and they shall not be wronged so much as the speck on a date stone. And who is better in religion than the one who submits his face to God, and is virtuous, and follows the creed of Abraham as a Hanif? And God did take Abraham for a friend. Unto God belongs whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is on the earth, and God encompasses all things. They seek a ruling from thee concerning women. Say, God gives you a ruling concerning them, and that which has been recited to you in the book concerning the orphan girls, to whom you give not what is prescribed for them, though you desire to marry them. and also the helpless among the children, that you should uphold justice for the orphans. Whatever good you do, surely God knows it well. If a wife fears animosity or desertion from her husband, there is no blame upon them should they come to an accord, for an accord is better. Souls are a prune to avarice. But if you are virtuous and reverent, surely God is aware of whatever you do. You will not be able to deal fairly between women, even if it is your ardent desire. But do not turn away from one another, so that you leave her as if suspended. If you come to an accord and are reverent, truly God is forgiving, merciful. And there you go. I don't like the idea that you won't be able to treat a woman fairly. That seems antithetical to today's modern goals in society. But that's what it said in there, so there you go. Anyway, again, don't get used to this style of video. I will go back to my notes. It's just I lost that chunk in all the work that's being done on my home. But I will talk to you all later. Please like and subscribe. Please watch my Bible study videos. Please comment on those as well. I enjoy listening to you guys. Please subscribe. It's now more important than ever that you subscribe to my channel. Please share it. Put it out there. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Tumblr. You know, whatever you got to do to get people to watch these videos, now more than ever, to keep this channel alive on YouTube. I need subscribers. I need views. So please, with the new rules that are out there and with the restrictions that are coming for religious content, I need you all to promote my channel if you guys want to continue seeing this kind of content from me. Peace, like, and subscribe. Talk to you all later.